Bring in more revenue while saving money and differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack vying to win those guests by becoming more environmentally friendly. We will show you how easy it is and how cheap it can be, if not free, and share all the opportunities available. So join us each week as we take another step along the green path. That's one more step to differentiate yourself from the rest of the pack. The Green Path podcast is kindly sponsored by Sustonica, the first sustainability certification for vacation rentals that audits homes on their environmentally friendly setup, installs smart measuring tools for water, gas and electricity, and offers an iPad for guests to see their real-time consumption levels. Learn more at sustonica.com. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Green Path podcast. As word truly starts to spread in the vacation rental industry about sustainability, more and more resources are being uncovered to help. Today, we're going to learn about one of those resources. Today, I'm chatting with Will, who will explain to us all that the green element offers. Hello, Will. How are you?
Very good. Very good. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you very much for joining me today, and thank you for your time. Will, can we go right back to the beginning of your journey on the green path? What is your background, and then how did you get started on your journey?
So I think I started the sustainability journey probably when I was about 14. I was reading some old, those cards that you got from report cards, and there was a really interesting comment from one of the teachers saying, Will gave a rather interesting, slightly quirky talk on climate change. We weren't quite sure what it was about or why he was doing it, but he seemed enthused in the subject and we commend him for his actions. And I think I didn't know, I can't remember doing it, to be honest with you. So it surprised me, but then doesn't surprise me that I was thinking about it back then. And bearing in mind I'm 40, I think I'm 47. And so it was a fairly long time ago. But what scares me or worries me is that we were clearly talking about it then. I'm not some kind of freak that was, seeing into the future. All I was probably doing was reading and understanding what was going on around us in the 80s. So that's slightly worrying. And I think over time, I ended up working in the hospitality industry for a lot of it. I was a travel agent for quite a long time. I ran pubs, set up restaurants in South America, ran a bar in the US, in Missouri, and so was in the hospitality industry and traveled an awful lot and saw what damage was happening around the world, and then ended up working in the wine industry. Got made redundant from Justerini and Brooks, and went to do my master's and set up Green Element, and that was back in 2002.
Oh, wow. And so what exactly does the Green Element do?
We help organizations become more sustainable. In a nutshell, we help them reduce their impact. We've got a variety of different platforms and services that we offer through that. We have Sustainability Solved, which is an online community resource center that allows people to access free information and ask questions for free on whatever part of the journey they're on. They'll get any of our consultants answering that, or any other people that are on the platform. Then we've got Compare Your Footprint, which is a carbon reporting software that helps organizations understand that footprint. That is a very cost-effective service. I mean, it's free to anyone that's under £300,000 turnover. And that does scope 1, 2 and 3 emissions. And we've been told by many that it's probably one of the most intensive but robust software that's out there. And sorry.
Is it very tricky to go through that process when you say
No, and we've made sure that it's not. We've made sure it's as easy as possible. We can obviously always improve on that, and we are looking at the user journey very regularly. But the robustness and the accurateness was the most important part that we went through to start off with. And I think we've got some of the most carbon factors in it around the world, from listening to people, and that comes down to that robustness. And Green Element as a consultancy, I would call it a boutique consultancy. It works for the people like The Guardian or say Holiday Extras, and I'd like to mention Blossom Brown a bit later on. And you know, it works on life cycle analysis. It'll look at the shirt or a jumper of, say, Finisterre and understand the footprint of that. It'll look at, say, work the Fever Tree and the bottles and the tonic and stuff. Or you know, it's very much all about the environmental reporting, be it carbon reporting on a product, be it the reduction strategy for science-based targets, or scenario analysis. Or, I mean, we built a carbon plan for NatWest, which is a automation reduction strategy once you've got your carbon footprint, which will be put into Compare Footprint. It was a joint IP project. So it's interesting. It's a really interesting space to be in, and I think that we can only make it more easy. And I like the fact that you did ask me, how easy is it? And actually, quite frankly, it's not easy enough. It needs to be easier. It needs to be more simple, but you need that accurateness at the same time. So you can't dilute what it is that you're doing. You have to have accurate data. You have to actually know your reduction strategy in order to actually reduce. And you can't just go, oh, can we just pretend that those are or average our figures, or can we just no, because actually that won't give you an accurate figure, which won't actually allow you to understand what you need to reduce. So sorry.
No, I think you're right. I think the whole user experience in terms of calculating your carbon footprint, I think that is a big turnoff for a lot of people. Well, they think, well, it sounds complicated. But, you know, if you could show it's not complicated, we just need these figures or whatever you do. I don't even know. I have never been on that journey myself. But if you can make it as easy as possible, then there's no excuse not to do it, not to go through and see. So you look at the carbon footprint, that's one of your resources. And then one of the things on your website says environmental management system, and you can generate savings. So in terms of the travel industry, how would that relate? How could we generate savings with this environmental management system?
So an EMS, environmental management system, largely comes from ISO 14001, which is an international standard. It's a certification that you can achieve from an accredited body. In the UK, we've got UCAS. In America, you've got ANAB. And around the world, there are different accreditation bodies for those certification companies. And it's a process that you go through. And it's got a fairly bad, or used to have a fairly bad rep. I actually think that the tables are turning now. I think people are starting to recognise that an environmental management system, ISO 14001, is quite a good thing. I believe that the reason being, and I will answer your question about specifically travel industry, but I believe that one of the reasons why people are turning to it now is the expertise that's going into the industry is much higher. In the past, historically, we had ISO 9001 and ISO 18001, so quality management systems, health and safety people going, I can make some money out of this, I'll put together a management system. It's not really an environmental management system, it's a management system. They would say that they were passionate about the environment because that's what they kind of knew they had to say. But actually now you've got graduates coming through that will only work in environments, and therefore the unique skills that they bring is expertise in that particular area, and they're actually using that system to reduce the impacts of those organizations. And it really depends on the organization and what organization you're talking about. I mean, if you say look at a travel company, it'll depend on how big that travel company is. Let's we can go down two routes here. Let's pretend it's a really big one to start off with many sites. So operationally, it's probably quite a high emitter due to the Where's it buying its electricity? What sort of controls does it have in place within the sites that it owns? How are they managing people? Is there much travel between sites? What is that travel? What's your travel policies with it? But equally, are you around the world? What are your travel policies? Do you have monthly meetings where the whole senior leadership team get together, or can you maybe do and I am a firm believer that people interaction is important. I am not someone that says that we should stop traveling, and I say that because I think that what we're kind of missing, we're really missing a trick at the moment. You actually have airlines that can travel much more efficiently. We've got fuel that is much more, but we haven't got the drivers pushing that. So we've got organizations that are thinking that the best thing that they should be doing is spending money on putting a tree in the ground somewhere in the world, and they then call that offsetting, and then that apparently offsets your emissions. Now, if you've got a large ad agency that is offsetting, in inverted commas, their emissions, and let's say they're putting in £100,000, one of the things that maybe they could be doing is maybe investing in Airbus. So actually putting all of that money into the travel industry, because that's how we are going to be able to orchestrate change. If we actually start to work together within the travel industry and we start to join the loop up, and we think about, okay, Airbus then will have more money putting into R&D. Maybe Airbus could have if we don't want them to go into historical emissions, maybe they set up their own pocket of Airbus that's all about R&D for future travel. Then
hydrogen fuel,
exactly, hydrogen fuel, and be it what it is, but at the end of the day, we are then helping that change. We can't go, bad travel industry, they're awful, we'll carry on traveling and we won't do anything about it. It's like that makes no sense at all, and that is what's happening at the moment.
Yeah, and it's true, because travel's not going to go anywhere. I mean, we're nomadic people, we will keep moving. And it's a very interesting idea to reinvest that money. I'm not saying don't plant trees, and I'm not saying to stop what you're doing, but it's a very interesting idea to actually put some money into the travel industry to help them become more sustainable. That's a very interesting idea. Yeah.
And we're seeing it across all supply chains around, largely large corporates around the world, where if you're looking at science-based targets, then your supply chain will be a large part of that reduction strategy. So rather than, again, offsetting your emissions, you're putting money back into your supply chain. So you're actually investing in some of the subcontractors that you use. So if you're a manufacturing plant that outsources a part of your product in somewhere in the world, you start putting solar panels on their roofs, or you start to invest in the infrastructure within there, which will then bring the cost down. So you can work it with them and go, if we invest £10,000 on that, our product, you will save this much. So therefore, over time, our product will go down in price. So instead of spending £1.50 per product, we could be spending 70p per product. You'll be making the same amount of money, but the whole system will be much more environmental. And that's where we need to be getting to.
Love it. I really love it. Now this is going to spark a new episode, I think. And Airbus. Maybe we need to talk to Airbus. No, that's really great. So how can the people in the travel industry or vacation rental managers, how can they implement some savings then?
I think look at what it is that you have in your buildings. Simple as light bulbs, simple as the heating. So how is it that you are managing those properties? So do you have heating on? I mean, it's well known that rental properties have their heating on full blast 100% of the time, all the year, whether it's summer. And so therefore, and then people come in to those holiday lets and they don't really know how to turn the heating down sometimes. And if they do, they can't be bothered. They're like, well, it's not me. It's not my money. I'm paying for this. So therefore, I'll just open the window. And so start to put in, there are intelligent systems out there that Nest, Hive, I don't know, I'm not, but there are those systems that actually you could have. If you're a rental property manager, you could actually have all of the systems in a dashboard so that you can go, right, and maybe you could actually automate that system quite easily with your CRM, therefore your CRM knows when it's being booked and when it's booked out, so it'll turn the heating up. And as soon as it's not, it'll turn it down. They'll all have APIs. We can be much more clever with the way that we manage those properties, and we're not at the moment because we're not thinking logically in a roundabout way.
Yeah, and this is definitely, excuse me, this is definitely one way you can save money, because like you're right, the aircon is on all the time through summer, the heating's on all the time through winter, and for the cost of that home automation device, platform, software, you are going to save money, especially with electricity the way it is the price the way it is these days. Absolutely, that's sort of like a no-brainer. That's one thing definitely to monitor. Yeah.
And then I love the whole towels thing, and I remember it first coming out. God, it was ages ago, wasn't it? It was got to be about 10, 15 years ago. The first consultant went into some hotel. Was it the Hilton chain? I can't remember, but I remember them switching things around and going, instead of please help us save energy, if you want to reuse your towel, hang it up. It went, everyone else is starting to ask us about reusing their towels because they want to save energy. Therefore, if you want to do that, hang your towel up. And it was that really clever way of turning things around to make you go, oh, I don't want to be that person. Yeah. I'll hang my towel up. And it's, that language and the way that we can, and sadly, you don't see it enough in the travel industry. I mean, that's such a simple strategy, and it could be put into lots of other aspects of running a hotel or running some kind of travel business that is just not utilized enough.
Yeah, I'm going to put my hand up here as the guest inspector. That's my side consultancy. And I have to say that if we want to encourage guests to reuse their towels, we need to make sure there's enough place to hang the towels.
Yes.
And a hook is not going to be enough for a towel to dry properly. Yeah. So put in some goddamn rails, and then people might go, oh, yeah, okay, I can hang it, and it will be dry by the time I'm having my next shower. Brilliant. So this is a simple fix. There's usually plenty of room in bathrooms where you can put a couple of towel rails. And think about it. If you've got 2 people sharing a hotel room, there could be 3 towels. Have room for 3 towels as a minimum. Come on.
Yeah. So, spot on. Yeah. Absolutely spot on. I tend to, I'm really bad. I go into the room and I actually hang it up in the room, and probably they don't like that because it's on the wood but I'm doing it because I kind of see it as the best of the worst.
Yeah, but you're paying money. You're paying money to stay in a room that ends up looking like a campsite.
But
that's not good guest experience.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the guest, doesn't it? For me, it's I'm living my values.
I try to do it too, but it's just frustrating that they want us to hang the towels to dry, but then they don't give us anywhere to hang them.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I hadn't actually thought about it. I mean, that's the thing, is it's so simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it is, and that's where we've got to get to, is sort out all those simple things.
Yeah, yeah. Now, we touched on earlier about laundry. So, of course, we've all got linen to wash or hire or whatever. You wanted to tell us a story about a linen company.
Yeah. And I think it'll probably possibly resonate with many of your listeners because of what's happened over the last number of years. We've got a client of ours, Blossom & Brown, Sycamore, and Dan Brown, weirdly, actually not named after him. Doesn't matter. Let's not go there. Dan's managing director and owner of the business, and obviously COVID hit and things were dark for a business that ran laundry for the hospitality industry in the London area. Everything had shut down. And it's, we'd already seen stuff going on prior to that when the living wage went up about probably about 4 or 5 years ago now. And I remember him saying, right, we need to put our wages up because obviously you had to. But because of the margins that these laundry firms work on, and this is what I want to really try and get down to, are so small. I mean, you're talking about 1-2%. It's really hard to run a laundry firm when your customers, the hotels, are going, well, we want only to pay 12p per sheet or whatever, when actually 13p per sheet would make a huge difference, because you're dealing with payroll, energy, electricity, gas, and water costs. That many businesses don't have such a lot of overheads that they have to continually manage. And they actually just said to all their clients, we need to put the prices up because of this. And recently they put their prices up because of the COVID stuff. And they did go into debt, and I'm sure he doesn't mind me saying it. But one of the things that I think that I admire that company is they came to us back in 2007, 2008, asking us to look at the environmental impact of their business. And they are continually monitoring the energy, be it the gas or the electricity, looking at the water usage, understanding the implications behind it. And one of the things that I think they have seen through all the bad stuff is because they're so on it from a sustainability point of view, they're actually really on it from a business point of view. And Dan and I have become friends over the years, and I think it's because of that synergy between business and environment. And I think it's a really good example of how an organization has managed to get through the darkest of times and come out at the other end purely through understanding what goes in, what comes out. And we don't do it enough, and I don't think we understand it enough. And I think we've lost sight of the fact that the environment and your environmental impacts are a massive part of your P&L and what goes in, what comes out. And I strongly urge any listeners, whether it's a laundry firm or whether it's a travel agency or a rental company or whatever, look at what you're procuring, and then start highlighting areas and go, well, if we shave 10% off that, if we shave, what is our profit margins on the back of that? And then look at how you can reinvest those profits back into the business. Don't keep them and go, oh, we can pay directors more, but actually reinvest it back into keeping those costs down, because that's really important. And that will give you longevity in the business, whether it's a longer runway, and runway as in how many months. You never know how much people know. I didn't know what runway meant about 5 or 6 years ago, to be honest with you. And so it's about that cohesive thinking and looking at everything unilaterally. And I think that's what Blossom and Brown have done incredibly well. And it's what's pulled them through to the other side of COVID, which, let's face it, the travel industry got hit, and it's been massively slapped on the back by Brexit. That has certainly not helped us. And I've got a lot of empathy out there for anyone in the travel industry, because I've seen it firsthand with clients. We've got clients like Holiday Extra and Exodus, and it's tricky, hard,
but I think you're spot on. I think people don't really look at their usage in terms of electricity and water, etc. A few weeks back, I interviewed. We learned about the Green Butler, Chris, I think it was Chris, from the Green Butler, and they basically show you the usage of electricity and water, and it's not just showing you; it's showing the guest. So it's almost gamifying it. It's like, well, the best guest, I'm not sure if it works exactly like this, but I got the gist that, the best guest usage this month was this. And, you almost want to try and like, well, how do they do that? I'm going to try and have this low usage as well. And the staff are made aware of it as well. So being aware of how much water you use and how much electricity you use is a start. It will affect your P&L at the end of the day. And already we're talking home automation that will help with electricity. Maybe you want to change your shower head. There's a great shower head that aerates the water as it goes through. So you use a lot less water. So there's money saved possibly on your water bill. So there are ways you can, reduce, but you need to know, what are we spending on water?
Yeah.
Where's it going?
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, absolutely. And I think there are lots of really good people out there and lots of good organizations. I mean, Adam, I think you know Adam Bostock, don't you?
Yeah.
So Adam and his organization,
Small 99.
Yeah, exactly. They're really good at articulating that message and helping smaller businesses understand what it is that they need to do. And so there is the resources out there. So if you're listening to this and you go, but I don't know where to start, either email us, and the contact details will be in the show notes. And we can point you in the direction, or look up Small 99, look up, there are lots of organizations. And if you end up emailing me, I'll probably end up listing out 10, 15 organizations to look at, because there are resources out there.
Yeah. Well, there's this newly established Environmental with Bob Garner, and I've had Adam on the show. So one of the older episodes, if you want to go back and have a look. Small 99, way back. Yes.
Brilliant.
Yes. So life cycle analysis, can that be applied for holiday rentals?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it can be applied to anything really, because what you're looking at is a product, and you're looking at what that product is costing us environmentally. And so, I mean, if you're looking at a hotel room, it would be the usage of the hotel room, wouldn't it? And you would be looking at the energy usage in that hotel room when it's not being used and when it is being used.
Yeah. And I was just maybe we should start with, what is the life cycle analysis exactly?
Okay, fine. It's understanding what the environmental footprint of a particular product is.
Okay.
So an easier example is a jacket. And so where was that jacket made? What materials have been put into it? What are the footprint of all of those materials? What's the operational cost of making that jacket? And what travel has happened in that jacket? Has different materials, or parts of it been made different places and then come to place, put together in that place, and then shipped to a warehouse? Are you looking at a series of warehouses around the world that then gets shipped off to customers, or is it all gets shipped to one warehouse in one part of the world that's then sent around the world? I mean, and by looking at that, and that's why it veers very much into the operational footprint of it. And what we find is organizations actually have over the years changed the way they do things, because it's a customer has come in and requested something, or a bigger customer has said, we want it done that way, or and therefore they end up having warehouses all the world. And there's inefficiencies that are happening, and it's highlighting those inefficiencies and trying to alleviate those inefficiencies, again driving down that environmental impact.
Absolutely. One thing I forgot to mention before when we were talking about the management system, and maybe with the life cycle analysis too, the single-use plastics. So the little amenity bottles, the cost of those, the labor involved in the restocking and the storage, et cetera, and using the 1 liter bottles in the bathroom, things like that. I suppose that all gets taken into account as well in terms of life cycle or the management system.
It would. I mean, of course, it's a big part of. Big part. It depends on what you're actually measuring. It could be a small part of what it is that you're looking at, or it could be a big part, depending on the product that you're looking at.
Yeah, but it's another simple thing to do. It's going to affect
totally.
the bottom line, and it's a very simple thing to do.
Totally. I'm a firm believer that I just don't understand why we are using oil when we A, don't need to, or B, can use alternative products, because I find it incredibly selfish. I think that why can't we use oil in 10,000 years time? You know, why do we have to use it all up now? I think that the problem that we've had is that we've used oil in such a small amount of time and so much of it. Whereas if we'd have put that out to 20,000 years of human existence, then we wouldn't have climate change. We would still be able to use, because there are some things that are better in plastic, but it's like the plastic bags. I don't quite understand the thought process behind using a paper bag over a plastic bag. Just reuse that plastic bag all the time, because you can't reuse a paper bag, and the environmental impact of that paper bag is horrendous. And it's only used once. But it's only used once. It's made out of paper.
And it can't be recycled?
It's not waterproof. Yes, it can be, but if it gets wet, which in the UK, it's a fairly wet climate, everything will break. So it's kind of, I don't know. I think it's almost the heart trying to solve a brain problem, whereas actually it needs more intuitive thinking and a more of a better methodological approach to actually systems thinking, isn't it? I think that's the expression, is actually thinking about everything, not thinking about one minute thing.
Yeah, but the problem is that society is too big these days, and it's all about instant gratification. You know, I don't have a shopping bag, so you get a plastic bag, you get a plastic bag, you get a plastic bag, and then, you know, what happens with them? It's great now that we're being trained that I'm going shopping, I'm going to take my recycle or whatever, the shopping bag. Yeah. So there is an element of being retrained. Yeah. And whether it's, you know, we're being trained now for electric cars. So maybe we can, you know, reduce the consumption of oil and use more of electric cars. But then, you know, electric cars are still using electricity. Yeah. But, you know, I think we're heading in the right direction. There's a lot more R&D going on, and solar panels are being improved all the time. And so I think we're heading in the right direction. But as long as everyone chips in and goes along in that direction, then we're all heading down the right path.
Yeah. I'm one of the worst people with when you go shopping, food shopping for stuff. And look, my other half, Laura, always just head plants when I turn up, because I always forget the bags.
Oh,
so,
no.
But I refuse to get any more bags. So I'll do the shopping trolley, put it in the shopping trolley, go to the car, put everything into the boot of the car. And then I get back home and I'm taking everything out of the car individually back into the house. But you know what? It works.
Yeah. It's not the end of the world if you've got to bring in 15 items. No,
exactly.
2 by 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we're going to start wrapping up now. Is there any other message that you'd like to share with the listeners about jumping onto the path or the journey along the path?
I would say, look at what your impact is, and look at, do you understand everything that you are doing and what each of those individual impacts are? And if there's a no or a not sure to anything along that, then start looking up what resources are out there to help you. Of course, Compare Your Footprint can be one of them, but then, as we've mentioned, you've got Small 99, you've got Business Declares, you've got so many different organizations that can help you, and some are more focused on the travel industry as well. And there's help out there, and there's free help, and it's free in inverted commas, because you are still going to have to do the work. And actually, if it's free for you to get the information, then you are going to have to do more work. So think about it like that. Maybe it's cheaper for you to use someone that has done it before, and they can then do it quicker, and the whole process may be cheaper if you're looking at everything. It depends on where you are and where you sit as an organization and what you can afford up front or in the long term.
Yeah. Well, I think this has been a very interesting resource episode. I'll pop all of those links that we've discussed in the description below.
Brilliant.
Well, thank you very, very much for your time. And thank you for a really, really great conversation.
No worries. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode and were at least a little bit inspired. If you'd like to catch up on the other episodes that you've missed, just head to thegreenpathpodcast.com. See you next time.